Okay. Welcome back. All right. Thanks. Yeah. It starts with the judges and then it triangulates back out. I'm Chris Denson, your host, in case you forgot. And I've never founded a company, nor do I work in fintech. So go figure. American dream is possible. So we are going to keep the show rolling. Thank you guys again for your attention. Please pull out those phones and your apps and vote. These do count. Unlike our election a couple years ago, the votes will count here. So we're going to get into RegTech. And by the way, while the judges deliberate after these next two sessions, I'm going to spend 10 minutes interviewing last year's winner of the entire Pitch360 competition right here on the stage. So please stick around for that. But let me give you guys a little bit of information about the RegTech industry. Some estimates have put the cost of governance, risk, and compliance at 15 to 20% of the total cost of running a financial firm. In 2016 alone, investors put $678 million into the UK RegTech startups, and the UK accounted for 41% of global RegTech investment, making it the global leader. 2017 saw a 102% increase in investment in RegTech from 2016, and the buck does not stop there. We're going to bring up three amazing companies that are keeping this going. Again, this is a category where we have a ton of startups and a ton of innovations happening all over the place and all over the world. But as we start to regulate them, these are a few of the companies that matter. So without further ado, Casper Woodstrup Rost, Calcabis. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Jonathan Naismith from Exate Technology. Jonathan, good to see you.
Good to see you.
And Rachel Carson from Neotas. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, nice to meet you.
All right, so you guys were paying attention earlier, yes?
Yes.
All right, good, because you're here for the pitch competition, so you want to know the rules. 6 minutes, and I'll let you go ahead and start. Your time begins now.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Casper. I am CEO and founder of Calcabis. We are a Copenhagen-based and Copenhagen-started AI company that focuses mainly on regulatory compliance. Before I dive into what we basically do, I wanted to give you some eye-watering numbers in terms of what it actually costs not to be compliant and how much money is actually wasted on outdated systems, manual mistakes, working in silos, and such things like that. And also giving you the opportunity to see how many money is actually wasted on AML consultancies alone. And what we see when we speak to banks is that once the knowledge or the consultant leaves the company, so does the knowledge. So we have built a platform over the course of the last 12 years where we are able to emulate and replicate humans. So instead of doing a one-fits-all solution, which is basically impossible, we provide the toolbox to emulate people in any way. So basically what we do is that we take different components of artificial intelligence in order to replicate the real world. Our baseline is the cognitive computing, which is very important to understand that the most essential knowledge that you possess is the thing you have in your brain and not the things that you can actually go in and find via data or processes. So by combining all of these technologies, we are able to replicate the real world and do as told. So how does a virtual expert work? So basically, it's a combination of different AI technologies, but it's also a combination of the cognitive knowledge or the expert knowledge that you possess in an organization already. So we take the different knowledge, we take the different data sets, we take different processes, and from there we build small virtual experts, which we have in this illustration used a building block. Once we have done that, we do it across a bank or across a segment or a silo in a bank. So we are able to do it as correct as possible. And once we have done that, we have a neural network of virtual experts that is able to communicate across. We have our origins from the medical industry, and by saying that, it was very important for us to actually be able to document everything. So hence, we also have everything documented in our platform. The last step in this is, of course, the manual resources, because it's very important to understand that we are not taking away jobs. We are supporting the way that banks and organizations are working today by tailoring artificial intelligence. But if there is something that is not corresponding to how it should be done and dealt with, a human layer will interact and approve and put it in back to the system, so it will be reinforced and learn from its mistakes. So we have three components of technologies embedded in the platform as default. One is the conclusion, so giving you the answer. We also giving you the whole reasoning behind the answer. But last but not least, we are helping the right personnel and the real people outside of the platform on how to deal with the specific problem. Corresponding to when you go to a doctor, you want to know that you're sick. You also want to know how you got sick. But most importantly, you want to know how to get well again. And that is something that we have built in the platform as well as default. We are working with an ecosystem, which is, of course, everything that has to do with external data. That could be anything, also the dark web. We are looking into the segmentations of banks, so we are building one silo at a time. But bear in mind that we are removing these barriers so they can actually communicate across, and you can get the most effect out of each and every department. Then we're working with everything that has to do with internal data. And since we are based on REST APIs, we're able to monitor everything real time. And because we are dealing with deep learning, machine learning, and cognitive computing, we're able to forecast things before they happen. And we don't only provide a false positive, we take the whole process because we deploy different AIs to support that. We put different rules in the platform, of course, which is, of course, something that we are doing in close collaboration with your IT department and C-level. And then, of course, the whole expert layer, which is, of course, very unique to each of our clients. So just to summarize everything, we use the best skill set each and every time. We automate whatever we can with using different types of artificial intelligence, and we reduce human human resources with up to 100%, and thereby safeguarding compliance with less resources. So don't hire more personnel. You can train the computer to do the exact same thing as you do in the real world. And we do believe that it's essential to build something that is sustainable and that works from day number one, which is why we build one virtual expert at a time that actually carries out a specific task. So you will get the maximum benefits from it from day number one. Once you have anchored the knowledge that you have in an organization, you can flip it, and then straight away you will have a robo-advisor. You can use this as a backbone of a chatbot or whatever. So it contains a lot of very, very exciting opportunities. And yes, that was everything from me, and thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Casper Woodstrup Roast. Where does that name come from? Is that a family name?
Yes, it's a family name, of course, because, yeah. It's
because you come from a family?
Yes, yeah.
That was me. That was my bad. Was it handed? Is that like a father to son?
I think originally it was German, but I like to think it's Danish, though.
Okay, so you don't know.
No, honestly don't know.
We're two of a kind. We're two of a kind. Well, that'll be a good research project for us to get into after this.
It could be if you're really.
We're gonna help Casper find his family when we get done here. Jonathan Naismith, Exate, are you ready?
I am indeed.
All right, you're the tallest one here, so we're expecting a lot. 6 minutes, and it begins now.
Super, thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Jonathan Naismith, and I'm the business manager for Exate Technology. We at Exate are a data privacy and data protection platform that enable our clients to easily and effectively control how data is accessed, enabling regulatory compliance with GDPR and cross-border data transfers. So why do we exist? It's because of headlines and stories such as these, where companies have failed you, me, us. We, the individuals who are put at risk when data is lost or stolen. Now, they say a picture can tell you 1,000 words. So what do these pictures tell us about the current state of data protection and data privacy? Some of you here might be asking yourselves, well, what is innovative about this? Data protection has been around for years. And true, it has been. But let me ask you, how many firms do you know that enable the data to determine who can view it and not an IT developer? How many solutions do you know that separate application security from data security? And how many companies are you aware of that allow you to protect your product or your data on an attribute-by-attribute level and provide you immutable forensic proof of who accessed or attempted to access the data? Now, what if I told you that we at Exate do all of this and more? Typically, your data protection is done on an application-by-application level, and those applications are protected by an IT developer. Now, the problems with this is your traditional IT developer are contractors, so they probably no longer work at your organization. With that, they are not regulatory experts, they're not lawyers, and they view the task of protecting those applications the same way that a 5-year-old views eating their vegetables. They don't want to do it. To solve this, Exate Technology encrypt or tokenize on an attribute-by-attribute level the data at rest, in transit, and in memory as required under GDPR. We often get asked, well, if the data is always encrypted, how is one supposed to do their job? Exate ensure that the data is seen on a need-to-know basis only, so that specific individual, team, department, or firm can fulfill their job. We do this by providing your data with a virtual visa. How that works is we will set rules or metadata around each individual attribute and allow those attributes to flow throughout your organization. Exate will then sit just outside your applications and act as an automated border control. To explain, imagine you've just flown into Heathrow Airport. If you are an EU citizen or a British citizen, you go down the fast track. That is your public data. It doesn't need to be protected, it just flows throughout your organization. Now, your non-EU citizens, they have to go to the man in the booth. They have to give their passport, show their visa, and the person will decide whether or not they're allowed into the country. We do the exact same thing for your sensitive or personal information. So just as that data is about to enter the application, we review the rules around each individual data attribute and link that back to the individual who's trying to access that data. Now, one of two things can happen. One, the individual will pass that rule check, the data will decrypt, and they can see the data. Or two, if that individual fails even one rule check, that data will remain encrypted and their access blocked. Exate then provides you with immutable forensic proof of who's accessed or attempted to access what data. In addition to this, Exate provides your data protection officer, or CISO, with anomaly alerts. So when Nosy Susie tries to access sensitive information 15 times in one day and gets blocked, your data protection officer can investigate. In addition to that, we are able to provide your data protection officer with various reports on your data usage, such as who has accessed what information and for what purpose. Very useful under GDPR when dealing with subject access requests. Now, what we don't do is just as important as what we do. We don't have any access to your data, we have no access to your encryption keys, and we have no access to your applications. Our technology requires no code changes to implement. That's right, it's as simple as a plug-and-play solution for all web-based applications. So what does this mean? Most recently, Exate Technology was shortlisted for 3 RegTech awards, including Best GDPR Solution. We just recently completed the PwC Scale program along with Neotas, in which we had access to some of PwC's research. Now, what we found was the expected spend on GDPR in the US and Europe alone is $14 billion. Now, to put that into context, that's 7 times the size of the market of MiFID. Our team consists of our 2 co-founders, Peter Lankost and Sonal Rattan. Peter comes with 30 years bank experience and was most recently the Chief Operating Officer for the EMEA markets business at a major global bank. His partner, Sonal, comes with 18 years IT experience across various different industries and was most recently the head of the EMEA RegTech for a major global bank. Our Chief Information Officer is Suraj Natur. He comes with 18 years experience and was most recently the head of R&D for the digital side at a major global bank. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to approach myself or Suraj after this. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Jonathan. Jonathan, where are you from?
South Africa.
South Africa. Very, very cool. So you're the second person that's taken a 14-hour flight to be here.
third, actually.
Oh, all right. Who's the other one?
Felicia from Akoni. She's South African as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. So 3 people have flown 14 hours for 6 minutes. Good business decision. One point of housekeeping, please, if you guys do have to exit the room, do not do it while they are in the middle of pitching. It's hard enough to be up here. I know, trust me. But with that said, you fine folks are doing great. So, Rachel.
Yes,
Are you ready?
I am.
You look ready. I can feel it. So, without further ado, as well, 6 minutes begins now.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Rachel from Neotas. Neotas are a digital due diligence company founded by experts in intelligence, finance, and cybersecurity. We conduct open source research using a unique analyst-driven intelligence platform. Sorry, excuse me. Using this platform, we raise flags for 32% of the people that we research. Ultimately, 5% of the staff and clients that we research are not onboarded. Now, bear in mind, please, that these are people that have already cleared conventional background checks. We have even reported high-risk cases to the SFO, to Crime Stoppers, and to Prevent for terrorist-related activities. So, my question to you is, how well do you really know the clients that you onboard, the people that you hire, and the companies you invest in? The current landscape looks like this. Conventional background screening simply checks you against databases such as criminal records, credit checks, PEPs, and sanction lists. But this doesn't actually tell you anything about the person. But if you really want to dig deep on somebody, then there are private investigators. But they can cost tens of thousands of pounds and take, 3 to 4 weeks? They're far too expensive and take far too long. And now there's this new wave of automated open source search platforms. But these generate far too many false positives and do not provide any context to the findings. So, sorry. At Neotas, we have proved that there's a better way. Did you know that only 4 to 6% of the internet is searchable using Google and other search engines? Well, our platform, which has been developed by world leaders in open source intelligence, uncovers the other 96%. We do this by harvesting multiple and extensive sources of information, including the deep web, the dark web, social media, and open sources. Now, what really sets us apart from automated solutions is our expert team of analysts. Together with our platform, they add context to the findings, they remove the false positives, and they join the dots to identify people's lifestyles, personalities, networks, and motivators. Now, we currently work with financial institutions, and they use us to help address their regulatory compliance needs, including SMCR, KYC, and AML. We also provide management due diligence to venture capital and private equity firms. And we work with HR departments for staff onboarding. As you can see, the services that we provide are applicable across multiple verticals. And because of that, this gives us huge potential for growth. Now, let me give you a bit of more detail on how our services are being applied in the regulatory context. To satisfy the FCA, you are required to assess the honesty, integrity, and reputation of senior managers. But how do you evidence this? No database can evidence reputation. But our solution does, because we don't just screen people, we actually investigate them. Our solution gives you the peace of mind that you're doing everything you can to evidence compliance. So let me give you a couple of case studies that have come from financial services. These are genuine cases that will hopefully bring some of this to life. This is Alan. The company onboarding Alan conducted conventional due diligence, which confirmed that he had no criminal record. But we found a video online of him assaulting a police officer at a football match. We also found him bragging about it on social media. And we found him dealing in drugs. Conventional due diligence in this instance failed. The company's reputational risk was enormous. But it's not all bad. Meet John, the senior manager. conventional compliance checks raised integrity issues because of gaps in his employment history. Yet we gave John the thumbs up. We found that these gaps were due to him building an orphanage in Asia, and we also found him heavily engaged in online forums discussing artificial intelligence. These additional insights helped the company to evidence his honesty, integrity, and reputation. Now, we define these kinds of flags using client-specific categories. So, for example, in these cases, Alan would have been identified for derogatory behavior, whereas a discrepancy identified about John would have been given the all clear. So as you can see from these examples, our sophisticated platform uncovers insights that were previously unknown to our clients. This means that we tip the balance between conventional screening to world-class due diligence. So why is this helpful? The FCA states that you must consider all relevant matters when evidencing compliance. Well, our clients repeatedly tell us that our services help them to achieve this. And in turn, this results in a reduction in fraud and insider threat, and also improved hiring and productivity. The world has changed. Current due diligence practices have failed to keep up with this, but we haven't. We give you the confidence to decide who you onboard, who you hire, and who you invest in. There is only one company that goes beyond, and that company is Neotas.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
And it sounds like you didn't have to travel far to be here.
No, Southeast London.
Okay, cool. Good little Uber ride. I'm going to go to the judges. 3 minutes. Questions?
Question for Casper, please. Casper, I'm presuming,
By the way, that's my stunt double. Dwayne, that's my doppelganger there.
Casper, I'd like to ask, could you tell me which clients and which products you've tested your approach on, please?
Yeah,
and how
sure.
many banks or other financial institutions are currently using you?
Well, we started last year, 2017, February, and right about now, I think we have 7 different POCs from across the globe, mainly Scandinavian banks, of course. We are looking into the ID verification with the risk profiling and KYC on top of that. We are looking into capital markets, wealth management. We are looking into fraud detection. We are looking into the home AML regulatory compliance space. So it really varies, right? But what we usually say to our clients is that we need to have validated and correct data into the system. Therefore, we would advise them to start very low and not start high level. But again, with our platform, you're able to build small building blocks that you can implement. So you can basically take parts of our platform, or you can take the whole bunch.
Hi. Jonathan, I have a quick question on how do you compare your solution to applying differential privacy? Have you guys thought of that in your solution set?
You mean differentiation of us from, say, competitors?
Yeah, or...
A couple of things. Firstly, we've been keeping a close eye on our competitors, and a lot of them have actually rebranded existing solutions to GDPR. We were founded 3 years ago, just as GDPR was being announced. Our solution was purposely built to tackle the major challenges of GDPR. The other thing that I mentioned was the attribute-level encryption that we do. That is far more granular than your traditional data protection. The analogy that I use to explain that is, as I said, your data protection is normally done at application-by-application level. So imagine that as now an armored truck with diamonds in the back. The thief will snip open the back and take all the diamonds. Using our technology, he'll snip open that same truck, but each and every single diamond has another vault with a different key for each single attribute. So that's how we differentiate ourselves.
Rachel, I know I've heard of companies doing similar thing to you. Can you tell us how do you differentiate yourself from those?
Yes, absolutely. Most of the companies that do this kind of work do very standard screening. So they simply do sort of instantaneous electronic checks against databases, such as the criminal records checks, the credit checks, PEPs, and sanction lists. But what we do is we add in the analytical element to this, and we go far, far deeper into the internet. As I mentioned during the presentation, only 4 to 6% of the internet is searchable by Google alone. So we go so deep, using the deep web and dark web, to reveal far, far more information about individuals. As you can see from the examples that I used, the conventional checks that most companies do will only give so much, whereas we give so much more. And the FCA and the Gambling Commission have both highlighted this, that they know that there's information out there which currently isn't being used, which we are able to access.
All right, thank you. Very much. One more round of applause for our RegTech category.
Well done, mate.